What's up guys, welcome to Greaserookie Garage. This episode is going to be all about looking over the wheelhouse and prepping the quarter panel for install. Now I'm going to go over a few things, one of them being the welds on the wheelhouse, because I did get a comment from a concerned viewer that some of the welds looked weak. So we'll inspect them and I can get feedback from you guys. But before that, the quarter panel is on and I want to show you how well it is now fitting. The only questionable area at this point is right here. And this really shouldn't be too much of an issue. This is just going to be dollying this metal together and that should take care of that. So I'm just going to go around the perimeter here and show you how everything is lining up. The gapping right in here where I'm going to have to weld it to the sail panel is good. There's still a little bit of overlap I got to take care of. Right in here is good. I just pointed out that area. You come back along here. This is fitting pretty well. I'll show you this in a second once we go the rest of the way around the quarter panel, how this extension lines up with the deck lid, because I was having problems with that. You can see in along here, things are lining up pretty darn well. I mentioned having an issue with gapping in here, and Robert Adams pointed out to me, aka by the way, the Infernal Craftsman, great YouTube channel. He is doing very similar work on his Mustang right now. But he pointed out that the quarter panel just needed to flex upward, and sure enough, when I pinched it together, that all came together very nicely. And there is no need for modifications there. You can see the gapping fits very nice and tight along the wheelhouse. There is no gapping. I call it gapping, but there really isn't any gapping. This area in here looks good. The only problem with this quarter panel is this front end right here. Well, first let me show you this. With the door closed, the first apparent issue is right here. So the scoop area, we'll call it, is not nearly as deep as the door. This needs to go inward. This is way too shallow. Now to remedy that, I am hoping I will just have to do what Barry did on Joe Daddy's Garage and put in some relief cuts here, which will allow me to flex this in some, and hopefully I can deepen that. Also, I know I still need to clean up my B-pillar area. There's a little bit of work that needs to be done, but for the most part, we're doing well. I almost forgot, I want to show you how everything lines up with the trunk lid. I did make some adjustments on this, and it is fitting much better. You can see I do not have the gapping nearly as bad as what it was. This was raised up pretty high. This gapping is good, and you come over and look, this is not on all the way. I only have one screw holding these on, but I will press that up. So here is what that side looks like. You can see that gap. Here's what this side looks like. So they're comparable. This one still sticks out a little bit, but I can tell you, I'm not going to try to make adjustments to this back end to perfect this. I'm not willing to cut this apart. I have this thing fitting way too good. If you guys remember all of the issues I had whenever I first initially started fitting this, it has come a long way, and I can live with this. Maybe whenever I'm, maybe down the road when I'm a lot more experienced, I'll be a lot more comfortable hacking into something like that, but not going to happen on this project. Now, probably the first thing I'm going to do is make the relief cuts and try to get this pushed in and see if I can make it align a little better. But before I do that, we are going to pull off the quarter panel and inspect those welds. Alright, so now I believe the welds that were a concern were actually the ones in here, because it was a comment on the live video I did when I was welding in here. And he would be right. I struggled with this area, and in the live video I said ignore these ones. This was a bad day. And I do intend on cleaning these up and re-welding these ones. These 4. This is a good weld. That middle one. But before we talk about that, I want to show you this, because some people might have seen this, and there is some funky stuff going on in here because this was bent and damaged. And basically what I did, if you look, you can see some gapping, but what is going on is there are areas that were pinched down and welded, nice flat welds, and you have them every so often. And what I did then for an extra measure was I came back in the areas that were raised in between these pinches. I just welded them down and then tried to get a good solid weld in there just for extra precaution. If you come down around here, you can see that the welds burned through up in there pretty well. It's kind of hard to get that. But, I mean, to my knowledge, they're good welds. I don't really know what else to do other than to, you know, hammer them around and come in here with a hammer and really start prying on them. But that stuff seems to be in there really good. And I was testing my welds that way. These welds, again, these all had good penetration. They look a little dirty because I was using my fume extractor, but if you come around here on the other side, I mean, you can see that there's penetration. It's really hard to get up there. You can see that there's penetration through on all of those, and also you can see where the POR 15 has burned off. But I think, and I've even pried around in there with a hammer, and that is why I'm pretty confident in these welds. But by all means, if anybody is suspicious, let me know. Here's another area. If you guys remember, I put a splice. I put a slit in here and a slit in here to make this fit together, and then what I did was I came back and welded this all up solid so that this was all one piece, just to give it strength. And I don't intend, I mean, I'm gonna clean these up with a wire brush, but I'm gonna leave all the weld in there. I mean, the way I see it, nobody's gonna see this area, and I mean, it can only give extra strength, I would guess. But this now is all gonna get coated in POR 15. Now, to the area that I believe was actually the concerned area, and the viewer was correct. This is the weld I did on the live. That laid really well. Nice flat pull penetration. These I said to ignore because these were a bad day, and I actually intended on coming back, grinding this off, drilling it out, and re-welding them. Now I'm going to show you what these look like on the other side, because these do not have good penetration. So there's 5 spot welds in that area, and only 2 really penetrated. That big one right there in the middle is from the live. You can see right here and there, they barely penetrated. And again, like I said, that was the bad day. And I knew that they were bad welds and they were gonna have to be redone. So why don't we just go ahead and do that now? Alright, so you guys saw what I did there. I would grind each one down. I would grind one down, drill it out, then weld it, and move to the next one. And I did the same thing for the ones up here. We come around, and look, and you can see we now have much better penetration on those. So they should be good. But by all means, if anybody disagrees, feel free to throw it in the comments. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. I would be naive to think that I'm any kind of an expert. I'm still learning. That's why I named the channel Grease Rookie. Moving on, I think I'm done with the welder. Let's put that away and throw some relief cuts in the quarter panel and see if we can't get that fitting just a little bit better in that scoop area. All right, so in regards to the relief cuts, we are following the lead of Joe Daddy, of course, Barry. When he had a similar issue, he made a relief cut right here, 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 and here. So basically at the peak of the scoop and then right at the transition marks. So we will cut slits right in here. We'll throw it back on the car and we'll see how she turns out. All right, we're back to where we started at the beginning of the episode. Everything's looking good. I have the lighting moved down here now so that we can address the scoop. I haven't tried it yet, but there's definitely flexibility in here. All right, so currently in my case, as far as I'm concerned, the issue has not been resolved. Now, part of the issue still is it's like the whole quarter panel needs to shift down some. You can see where the lines don't line up, and I feel like It's actually, might be a little worse. No, it's probably about right. After making the relief cuts, it's probably the same. But there's still gapping going on down along here. And this area all the way up here, if you look, there's an overlap here. And this area is a little bit high. So it might be that I need to trim this to allow this to drop down some. The door can go up a little bit, but we're close, but there's still some work that needs done for sure. All right, we're back next night, and the first thing I'm going to address is the fact that the peaks on the scoop do not align. And I think what's going on is this flange here, this metal, is when I slide it in, it is shifting everything up. I'll show you guys. Right now I have, you can't see it, right now I have this back edge tucked in. And when I watch this lip, right here they're about aligned. When I push this in, everything goes up. And there's a gap that forms here. So things are definitely misaligning here. So I'm gonna tackle this next. And I think what I can do is pop this off. And so there's material here, but there's also material right here. I can see it. So I'm gonna grind this down, and I'm gonna grind some of that down. It still goes up. And that might be that this needs dollied up. All right, so I've been busy making little modifications off camera, and I think I have this thing about as close as I can possibly get it. It is by no means perfect, but I don't think I can do much more with it. The areas that bother me are right here. This just simply, this is in all the way now. Up against, attached to the B-pillar, I have a screw holding it in there. This groove is just destined to be this shallow. With the relief cuts, I was able to push it in some, but I just can't make up the ground there. So this little lip there is going to have to be that way. I was able to get the peaks to line up a wee bit better. I'm kind of thrown off because on the other side, the peak starts exactly 4 inches above the rocker panel, and that's where it is here. But the door seems to be down a little bit, but the gaps, this gap matches the gap on the other side. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. It's close, but it is not perfect. And this right here is going to have to come down a little bit, which of course bows it out a little bit there, but I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue. But that's it. I don't really know what else to do. Throw it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell how it matches with the different colored panels. But, I mean, I feel like that's pretty good. I don't know. It's better than it was, for sure. Obviously, I got this trimmed down now, so this is a nice tight fit, even right in along here, nice and even, so we're good there. As far as fitment goes for the quarter panel, I think I'm about there. Now, at this point, it's a matter of test fitting the quarter window to make sure we're good there, and spending a little bit more time manipulating this stuff and seeing what I can do there. But I don't know how much more I'm going to do. This is looking 10 times better than the car did when I bought it, and I might just have to live with it. So we're here. I guess this is quarter panel install part 1, because that's what we're doing. Final fitment and trying to get this stuff figured out. I don't know how many quarter panel install videos I'm gonna have, but I did say I wanted to have it in by the end of January. So the clock is ticking. Remember guys, please throw your comments in there if you would about the welds that we went over this episode, if you saw that, and give me feedback. So I'm gonna keep rocking and rolling with this. I don't know if I'll be live Sunday, but I'll throw up a reminder if I am. So until the next episode, guys, stay driven.